Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and ting and ting and ting. Back with some more vibes for you, you know what I mean? And I'm Mr. Giant. Now, I noticed that some people said there's an echo, especially with the video playing. So I did some tweaking here and I hope that fixes that echo. I thought I had it fixed before and I wasn't having an issue, but all of a sudden I started having it again. So I went ahead and tried to fix that. Now, hope it fixed. Tell me in the comment section if it's fixed. You know, I'm always trying to improve, you know, y'all's learning experience here with me, you know, because we're both learning about history and stuff like that. And I ain't gonna talk too much. I'm gonna go right into the video and thing. This one is called Wellington Strikes, Salamanca, 1812, and this is a continuation of the Napoleon series that I've been doing and thing, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer and see what I go on here. Ooh, Spain. Let's see what Napoleon did in Spain.
By 1812, Napoleon's French Empire had 250,000 troops stationed in Spain, bogged down in a war that seemed to have no end. They faced a bitter struggle against the people of Spain, who'd taken up arms in a guerrilla war, as well as the remnants of Spain's field armies and an Anglo-Portuguese army under Lord Wellington. But French forces in Spain remained formidable and in firm control of the capital, Madrid.
I wonder if that's the term they used back then, a guerrilla war. I wonder if that's the same term they use, because, you know, I was under the assumption that guerrilla warfare, that specific term, started like with Vietnam, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Come on, teach a brother. Tell me what I want.
And most major cities. And the year began with another great French victory in the south and a calamity for Spain. This video is sponsored by Audible, our favorite place to go for audiobooks. They have an unmatched selection of fiction, comedy, classics, and original content, all of which you can listen to on the go, on pretty much any device you can think of. Of course, we spend most of our time in the history section, and one title we would
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this.
Let's
Let's get into the video.
For sponsoring this video.
If I had two generals like Suchet to lead my Spanish,
Spain
right,
and
you ready?
Portugal would become a graveyard, not just for young French conscripts, but for the reputation of some of France's most famous generals. General Junot, Marshal Soult, and Marshal Jourdan had all tasted defeat. Marshal Massena had been recalled in disgrace. Marshal Louis-Gabriel Suchet was the exception. French generals in Spain were notorious for their looting. Soult, based in Andalusia, was probably the worst, reckoned to have stolen 1.5 million francs worth of art from Spanish monasteries and churches. As governor of Aragon.
Warning, I may have repeated an episode because I started and realized I wasn't going chronologically, so I started over. So I may have repeated some, but bear with me. I'm just going as I can here.
Marshal Suchet behaved very differently. He enforced strict discipline on his troops, punishing any who tried to steal or extort money from the Spanish, while treating local authorities with respect.
Cool.
He combined this hearts and minds strategy with ruthless military action against the guerrillas and was able to establish firm control of Aragon.
See, check it out. If you show like a little heart, but the people who are actually going against you ruthless, it apparently, because I've noticed that in a lot of historical battles, you're more likely to get certain sections of the population to side with you. You know what I'm saying? And thing, you know, especially probably the genteel ones, you know, the guerrillas, oh, those peasants, you know, we have to come together, you know, as I hate to use the word elites because, good Lord, everybody's using that word these days. here where I am to describe each other, to defame each other. But you know what I mean. You know, if you show a little heart to the right group of people, then they wouldn't care so much what you do to another group of people. So you know, that's a good diplomatic strategy, sort of.
In June 1811, after a particularly bloody assault, Suchet took the port of Tarragona, for which Napoleon rewarded him with his marshal's baton. The emperor then sent him reinforcements and ordered him to take Valencia. First, he routed a much larger Spanish army that attacked him at Saguntum before he laid siege to Valencia. The city was packed with Spanish troops and refugees, and to avoid starvation, General Blake surrendered Valencia on the 8th of January 1812. The French took 18,000 prisoners, including 23 generals, and nearly 500 guns. It was a devastating blow to the Spanish cause. But to reinforce Suchet, Napoleon had stripped troops from other armies in Spain, and then withdrawn 25,000 of the best troops for his imminent invasion of Russia. The result was that French forces in Spain were now severely overstretched, just as Wellington prepared to strike.
Here comes Wellington. We have in the service the scum of the earth, as common soldiers enlisted for drink.
Spanish guerrillas kept Wellington well informed of French movements, and learning that the forces facing him in western Spain had been much weakened, he decided to go on the offensive, to strike a blow before the French could concentrate against him. On the day that Valencia fell, he laid siege to Ciudad Rodrigo on the Portuguese-Spanish frontier. Eager to take the city before Marshal Marmont could march to its relief, he ordered an assault after just 10 days. It succeeded, though Major General Crawford of the Light Division was among 300 killed. Wellington then marched south to besiege the much more strongly defended city of Badajoz. An assault was made on the night of the 6th of April. The first wave attacking the main breach were slaughtered. But what was supposed to be a diversionary attack on the city's castle with scaling ladders succeeded, and the city soon fell.
Wow. The redcoats have
The storming of Badajoz cost the British 3,700 casualties. In the aftermath, survivors went on the rampage, drinking, looting and raping, and killing more than 100 Spanish civilians before British officers finally restored order.
That will turn up
the two main routes between.
See what I mean? That will turn a people against you faster than anything else if you start pillaging. You know what I mean? And even if you conquer them after a while, somebody's going to remember. Somebody's going to teach their children. You know, this is what happened to us. Let's take revenge, and you have to go for generations. You know what I mean? So what we're doing is repeating history, because we teaching the newer generation to take revenge. Can't tell people to forgive and forget, or forget. Can't tell people to forget that kind of stuff, especially if history keeps bringing it up. Now, I guess some civilizations may have been successful in crushing it, and then that's why. Okay, let me put it. That's why people rewrite history, so that the newer generations wouldn't be affected by the history that could cause subversive behavior. So that's why there's revisionist history a lot. You know what I mean? And of course, we have to take history with a grain of salt. We just have to, because whoever wins the battle, whoever is the conqueror, they're going to write history to put them in the best light. You know what I mean? Which makes you question a lot, what history is real and what history isn't. You know, I'm thinking the gist of the history is right, because we know I think Napoleon was a leader that conquered a lot. You know what I mean? But then the politics of it, what is real, what is not real, were the people actually treated that way with respect, or were they not treated with respect? But the atrocities will cover up just so that as they go along, people wouldn't be more inclined to fight against whoever is ruling.
Spain and Portugal. Now he sent his most reliable subordinate, General Hill, with a small Anglo-Portuguese force to destroy the bridge over the Tagus at Almaraz. This was a vital link between Marmont's army of Portugal and Soult's army of the south, as the next usable bridge was at Toledo, 90 miles east. The bridge was well guarded by forts and redoubts, but Hill led a swift and daring assault. The French defences were taken by surprise. The bridge itself and all the engineering equipment burned, for the cost of just 177 casualties. Wellington was now ready to begin his advance into Spain. Spanish regular forces and guerrilla bands began operations to tie down as many French troops as possible. While from the Bay of Biscay, Sir Hume Popham's naval raiding force made diversionary attacks on French coastal targets. In 4 days, Wellington was at Salamanca, as Marmont, outnumbered, withdrew behind the Douro River. But when reinforcements arrived, he crossed the river again. For 6 days, Marmont tried to march around Wellington's flank, but the British general matched him move for move, their two armies marching in parallel, often within sight of each other.
Wow.
But on the 7th day, Marmont blundered.
Can you imagine just marching alongside the people you know don't want to kill you? That is crazy. I guess that happens a lot in ground battles.
On the morning of the 22nd of July, Wellington's army occupied high ground 4 miles south of Salamanca.
Also,
Marmont was
taking
not
into consideration the
interested in a
terrain.
direct assault. He still sought to outflank Wellington, threaten his line of retreat to Portugal, and force him to fall back. Around 8 a.m., the French won a dash for a hill known as the Greater Arapil, which Marmont made his observation point. The French army began to swing round behind him. Marmont had convinced himself that Wellington was an overly cautious general who would not risk attack. The hills hid most of Wellington's army from view, and when Marmont saw dust clouds to the west, he assumed it was Wellington's baggage train leaving Salamanca, beginning their retreat.
Oh.
But it was the British 3rd Division and a Portuguese cavalry brigade moving up to strengthen Wellington's flank.
Wow.
Because he wasn't planning a retreat. He was about to attack.
There they are, my lads. Just let them feel the tempo of your bayonets.
Around 2 p.m., Marmont ordered the 5 infantry divisions waiting in the woods behind him to march west, to cut off Wellington's imagined retreat. General Mokoon's 5th Division, in the lead, stopped to engage what was presumed to be the British rearguard in the village of Los Arapiles. General Thomier's 7th Division continued west past it. Wellington watched as the French left flank became increasingly strung out and knew it was an opportunity too good to miss. He galloped 3 miles across country to the 3rd Division to give the crucial orders in person. Many of his staff officers struggled to keep up. On arrival, he instructed the division's commander, his own brother-in-law, Edward Pakenham, to attack and drive everything before him.
I think, you know, the,
3rd Division's advance was hidden by low hills until the last minute. Thomier's division was caught completely unawares and shattered by the assault. Thomier's himself was killed, half his division killed or captured, the rest soon put to flight. At this crucial moment, Marshal Marmont was hit by a British shell and carried from the field seriously wounded. His second-in-command, General Bonnet, was himself wounded an hour later, so command passed to General Clausel. 45 minutes later, the British 5th Division attacked, supported by 2 Portuguese brigades and General Le Marchand's dragoons. The French saw the cavalry coming and formed square, but were hit first by the British infantry, who unleashed a close-range volley, then charged with the bayonet. The French were routed and charged down by Le Marchand's cavalry. French 6th Division was caught up in the collapse. Le Marchand himself was shot from the saddle, but his brigade had helped destroy 8 French battalions and capture 2 Eagles. Wellington's echelon attack continued as Cole's 4th Division advanced in the center. But Pack's Portuguese brigade was thrown back from the Greater Arapil, and the whole division was soon falling back in disorder. Despite the devastation of his army's left flank, General Clausel decided to launch an attack on the Lesser Arapil, the hinge of Wellington's position.
wow.
If it could be taken, he might still snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. But the French advance was met by fresh troops of Clinton's 6th Division, who poured volleys of musket fire into the French columns. They began to fall back. The French army had lost the will to fight on, its soldiers streaming away into the woods behind them. General Ferret's 3rd Division mounted a brave rearguard action to buy the rest of the army time to escape, but it faced a hopeless task. It was soon outflanked by the British 5th Division, and Ferret himself was killed. Only General Foy's 1st Division escaped in good order. With darkness falling and his army exhausted, Wellington called off the pursuit.
The deportation of the Cortes from the came to congratulate me upon victory, hailing you as the
Wellington had smashed Marmont's
Savior.
army, taking
I don't know why I'm talking like
7,000
that.
prisoners and killing or wounding 6,000 more, a French casualty rate of 25%, and more than double Wellington's own losses. The next day, dragoons of the King's German Legion attacked the French rearguard and achieved the almost unheard of feat of charging down a French infantry square and taking another 1,000 prisoners.
Man, they're just getting walloped.
Wellington now decided to march on Madrid, forcing King Joseph to abandon the capital and retreat to Valencia to join up with Marshal Suchet. On the 12th of August, Wellington liberated the city to scenes of wild celebration.
Ooh.
Soult, now at risk of being cut off in Andalusia, abandoned the siege of Cadiz, which had dragged on for 2.5 years, and marched east to join Joseph and Suchet. The following month, Wellington marched north, pushing the French back from Valladolid and besieging the castle of Burgos. But his army lacked heavy guns, and the French garrison fought bravely. As powerful French armies gathered to the north and south, Wellington himself was now in danger of being trapped.
Oh yeah, look at how much they have a lot of people.
He had no choice but to withdraw. Wellington's retreat turned into a desperate forced march through autumn rain. The supply system collapsed, and many starving soldiers looted what food they could find from Spanish villages. Madrid was abandoned and reoccupied by the French on the 1st of November. Wellington was back where he'd started 5 months before.
Wow.
But despite the campaign's dismal conclusion, his strike into Spain had led to the liberation of huge swathes of the country and left the French more overstretched than ever. Reinforced and resupplied, Wellington would be back the next year to deliver the final blow to Joseph's Spanish kingdom.
And that stuff is taking forever, you know what I mean?
1812 had seen the tide of war turn, and not just in Spain, because 2,000 miles to the east, in Russia, catastrophe had engulfed the Grande Armée.
Okay, I'm interested to see what this one was all about.
Thank you to all our patriots.
Yeah, that was really cool. Well, you know, historically cool. Don't think dying people is cool at all. I guess nobody would think that, but you know, when it's people think war is natural. I don't think war is natural. I think it's natural for people to love each other. But then that's just me. I guess I'm a simpleton. But hey, we claim to be such complicated beings. How come we can't do something so simple as love each other? But anyway, I ain't gonna keep you all too long. I'm gonna leave a link in the description for this video. Go check it out. Go check out this channel. They got lots of cool stuff there for you to learn about history and stuff like that. So go in there and gorge yourself on it, all right? Listen, take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings.